Dude, these yards are going fast. You know what I'm talking about, man? September. It's been like dry for like 3 weeks here. Humidity is down. Every market's different, man, but I'll tell you what, this has been nice. You know how you walk around and you like look at those fence lines and you're like, man, it'll look like it needs to be weed eated. I still give them the courtesy walk. Mostly because I think it's the right thing to do. You know, like on baseball, whenever they jack a home run and then the outfielder, like, he knows that it's gone, but like just out of courtesy for his pitcher, he'll make sure that he like at least turns around and just does a little jog. Courtesy jog. I do the courtesy jog. Anyways, let's go mow some grass. So this neighbor walks out of his house and he says, he has this look on his face and he says, "Why are you cutting the grass so fast?" And I said, "Hi, my name's Jonathan. I am the owner of Florida Turf Pros." He said, "Hi, Jonathan." He said, why are you cutting the grass so fast? Like, why are you just whipping around on your mower and cutting so fast? And I told the truth. I told him the truth. I said, and his name was, well, I won't tell you his name. I told him, I said, "Sir, my job is to get on and off this lawn as quickly as possible while doing a great job. Like, that is my job. Like, it's literally how fast can I get done with this and go to the next one and deliver a good result to this lawn." And he said, "Well, the mower just can't be cutting good, running that fast." And I said, "Really?" I said, is there grass that's not getting cut? Show me." So then we kind of just had this little funny moment where we actually walked around, and he's like, was kind of just looking at the grass, and he says, "Well, I don't know, maybe it's just not a good look for you to be driving so fast. Even if the mower is cutting well, maybe it's just not a good look. Do you ever think it might not be a good look, Jonathan?" I said, yes. I said, we can agree that lawn care guys flying on lawns, it's not a great look. Most homeowners, Mike, that's what his name was. His name was Mike. I said, "Mike, most homeowners would actually prefer me to be push mowing their lawn and it taking 2 hours. That's what they would prefer." But you see me, I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum, and I get to decide what I do. So he kind of laughed and he said, "Yeah," he said, "you're probably right." And that brings me to this next question. Do you feel guilty with how fast you are able to complete residential lawns, commercial properties, or whatever? Guys, like, we're not talking about homeowner grade equipment that I have. Like, we're talking about like equipment that is tens of thousands of dollars to mow grass. Like, you want to pick up a Skag Cheetah 72 inch with a 40 horsepower Kawasaki, 18 grand. But you know what? For 18 grand, you know what I want to do, Mike? I want to cut the grass as fast as possible. I don't want to spend $18,000 on a mower and then spend 10 hours on a property that should take me 3. I don't want to do that, Mike. It's not reasonable. That's why I choose to invest in the equipment. So, that being said, there is a balancing act between speed and delivering quality. I've heard it said before, you can have good, you can have fast, or you can have cheap, but you can't have them all, something like that. And it's so true, man. It is so true. But if you want to pay somebody cheap, they can come in there and do it real fast for cheap, but it's not going to be good. They always say, what do they say? You can have 2 of those 3, but you can't have all 3. And it's so true. But I'll tell you what, on residential lawns, we get in, we get out, man. We do. We get in, we get out, and that is the name of it. If you're trying to make any money at all in residential lawn care, if you could not get in and get out fast and get to the next job fast and then do the same thing over and over and over and over again all throughout the day for 8 hours out of that day, you're not going to make any decent money in lawn care. It's as simple as that. And it brings me back to a story. Whenever I first started, this nurse came out. I was my first year in business. She comes out, and what the final summary of that conversation with her was, she was so upset on how fast I was doing her lawn. There was nothing that she could point out that was not being done, but her final words to me before I ended up quitting that job on her and just walking away and firing her as a client, her final words were me to, well, actually I had the final word. I'll tell you what that was. It was one word. It wasn't a bad word, but she was a nurse, and she said, "You are making more per hour than me, and I'm a nurse." Like I'm supposed to be some dirtbag lawn care guy just because I'm cutting her grass. And it kind of, whenever she said that, I knew at that point, like, I don't want to do business with you. And the one word that I said, what do y'all think it was? No, it was not the B word, although that crossed my mind. The word that I said to her was unbelievable. That's what I said. I said unbelievable. And I got my truck and I left. And I left a yard that was cut beautifully. It was a wonderful cut. She was just so upset that I was in and out of her yard in about 12 or 15 minutes. And even though the lawn was perfect, she was upset that she was paying $50 or $55 for that lawn. I was like, you know what? Yeah, if I had a lawn tractor, I could spend an hour here if you'd like. If it could give me a push mower, I could spend an hour and a half, but the price ain't gonna be $50. It's gonna be like $150. So, yeah, man, I thought that was a funny conversation because I know y'all all have ran into that before. There is a balancing act between quality and speed, but remember, you can't have all three. You can't have cheap, you can't have quality, and you can't have speed. You can't have all three of those. You can have two, you can't have all three. What are your thoughts on this?